Hi everybody, it's Charlie. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna play another game. This one is called the Innsmouth Case. The Innsmouth Case is a text adventure game inspired by H.P. Lovecraft and the very first text-based adventure to combine horror and comedy in a fit and proper way. So yeah. I haven't seen anything about this game. I haven't seen any videos, I haven't read anything, so we're gonna find out if it's any good. Alrighty, we're gonna start a new game. Because I haven't played it yet. Here we go. Got a little Cthulhu over there. Boston, MA, your office. Forward. We are fans of the strange world of Innsmouth, but we recognize the problematic beliefs of H.P. Lovecraft. This game has been produced by a group of people who believe in inclusion and equality. Okay. H.P. Lovecraft has problematic beliefs. I didn't know that. I don't know that much about H.P. Lovecraft, so I don't know. I'm just gonna continue. Your progress in the story will be saved at the end of each chapter. There are 35 chapters in total. At the end of a chapter, the screen fades to black and a green save icon appears at the bottom right of the screen. Okay. We recommend you always end the game after such a save point to make sure none of your progress is lost. Makes sense. Boston, 21st of September. The last rays of sunshine filter through the blinds of your empty office. The pathetic stench of whiskey, cold cigarette smoke, and canned ravioli fills the air. The screeching tires and constant beeping of car horns out there on the street tell you that it's gone 8 p.m. People are on their way home finishing their day. You should join them. You decide, okay, stay at your desk, go home. Yeah, I'm gonna go home because I don't like staying at work longer than I need to, so I'm gonna go home. You breathe a deep sigh. It may not have been a successful day, but at least it's over. You are looking forward to a classic Friday night, watching old mystery series at home in sweatpants and getting drunk on cheap booze. Since the early afternoon, you have been staring at the foreboding bottle of liquor at the other end of the room. Why do you have alcohol at work, though? I don't. Up until now, a vague sense of professionalism has kept you from drinking yourself into oblivion. Now, nothing stands in the way. Suddenly, you hear someone at the door. I'm not gonna make a sound. You freeze and hold your breath. No, 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 no. Nobody will ruin your well-deserved evening. You're as quiet as a mouse. You listen intently. The woman just outside the door knocks again. Pesky clients. I can see you through the window. Pretend to be a statue. Give up and let her in. Yeah, I'm gonna let her in. Oh well, it could have worked. So what if you clock out a few minutes late? You clear your throat and loudly invite her in, as if nothing had happened. The door slowly cracks open with a timid creak. The unknown guest pauses. Then, in a breathy and melodic tune, you hear a woman utter, "Hello?" Your insides cramp. You suddenly realize that you haven't cleaned your office at all this year. Yeah, I'm not gonna quickly try and clean up. That's not gonna work, so I'm just gonna invite her in. By the light of the desk lamp, you now see more than a silhouette. A breathtaking woman lights up your office. No doubt, older than 40, maybe even 50, hard to say. Clad in black, a skin-tight dress accumulating in a décolleté that seems to defy the laws of gravity. She had some work done, obviously. A smoky eyeshadow as dark as algae washed ashore. Blonde, coiffed, wavy hair under a dark beret. The faint light of the setting sun catches in the strands of her hair, and you wonder how many heads this woman must have turned during her prime. She's completely different from your usual customers. Nervous bankers with sweat stains under their armpits, convinced their wives have something going with the mailman. Every move she makes is calculated. Grace. Smooth as an eel, she walks towards you and sits down on the corner of your desk. Determined, she walks towards you and sits on the corner of your desk, which is a little bold. Which makes you blush? No, which is a little bold. Without asking you first, but a professional, you're not giving anything away. She seems to want to play the seductive damsel in distress. The quite amused voice of your subconsciousness is pleased that the stranger may be sharing your enthusiasm for film noir cliché. A far louder voice is surprised that this woman seems to think that a sexy pose and revealing clothes would win you over, and both voices agree that they don't like being manipulated. You don't think that the stranger perched on your table is trying to recover from a hard-working day as a lingerie model, and therefore you see no logical reason for her behavior. When she begins to speak, her voice is smoky and full of promise. My name is Dahlia Marsh. I'm looking for a private investigator. I was told you're one of the best. Kiss her hand. Hey, no! You've come to the right place, lady. What can I do for you? You sit back in your chair and fold your hands over your stomach. The woman seems a little irritated that her provocative behavior seems to have had no effect on you. Of course not. I'm a professional lady. She moves from the edge of the desk and sits down on the chair opposite you. Yes, I... She clears her throat. As she continues to speak, the smoky seductiveness creeps back into her voice. My name is Dahlia. I need help. Ask for more details. It's about my daughter, Tabitha. She has disappeared. You're pulling out paper and pencil. This is going to be a walk in the park. A walk in the kidnapped kids park. Well, when did you last see her, and where? The woman puts on a fake smile. We live in Innsmouth. It's a small port town north of Arkham. You frown. This is a bit vague. What was your child doing when you last saw her? What hobbies does she have? Oh, you know, kid stuff. They just run around and play with yo-yos and that sort of thing. Dahlia nervously combs her hand through her hair. Does your daughter have any friends? Yo-yos? What about her father? What does your daughter look like? She's only 8 and the sweetest girl you can imagine. She's been missing without a trace since last week. None of her schoolmates have seen her and no one knows where she might have gone. She hands you a photo. Look, this is my little munchkin. Okay. Good heavens! Is this supposed to be a joke? Is that really the face of a child or a shoddy photo edit? Are you being filmed as part of a reality TV show? A bit of stomach acid and the last bite of lunch slowly but surely makes their way up into the back of your mouth. Throw up in the drawers of your desk. Well, that's a bit, I'm gonna swallow it. With narrow eyes, you swallow the bile and involuntarily pull a face. Dahlia continues to look at you hopefully. She obviously didn't notice your little mishap. That was close and could have been unpleasant. I'm so desperate. Her eyes lock with yours. Do you think there's something strange about your child? Ask more question about kids. Do you think there's something strange about your child? Taking your life into your hands, you ask the mother, don't you think there's something a little bit strange about your daughter? It's called puberty, Dahlia snarls. You should try it sometime. Also, this has nothing to do with the case. She looks at you contemptuously. I'm gonna persist. Leave the evaluation to a professional. Your child's facial skin is more scaly than that of the poor souls you sometimes see on afternoon talk shows. Besides, she doesn't seem to have a nose. It's a rare genetic defect. Okay. What about her father? What about Tabitha's father? Are you separated? Often children reappear with family members. Dahlia smiles sadly. My little one can't swim well enough for that yet. Your pen remains on the same spot of the notepad. What was that supposed to mean? Okay, so the father is maybe Cthulhu? I'm gonna let her talk. Dahlia turns her gaze away from you and looks dreamily, no longingly, out of the window. Her father was a fisherman, like most in the village. A few years ago he went out to sea but never returned. His boat was washed ashore weeks later. His colleagues told me that he had finally followed the call of the waves. You keep quiet for a moment. Deceased family members are always a sensitive subject. My sincere condolences. She seems calm. Oh, somehow I always knew that moment would come. I think my husband's in a better place now, and at some point I'll join him. You take a closer look at Dahlia's outfit. Judging by her behavior and clothes, you never would have taken her to be a fisherman's wife. You inquire about more details of the case, Dahlia's financial situation. No more details. Yo-yos. Hold on, yo-yos, ring ring, can you hear that? It's the 90s calling and they want their outdated toys back. Dahlia blushes. Normally you would find this quite attractive, but at the case of a missing girl beckons and you're utterly unconvinced by the way this woman pretends to be a mother. Confront her. Something's fishy here. You have a nose for this sort of thing. That's why I became a private investigator. Or to be more precise, that's why you took an online detective course that, for a one-off fee, provided the necessary qualification. It's time to take your visitor to task. Why did you come to me? You get out of your chair. Innsmouth is several miles away from here. Why did you want to hire me? I wouldn't even hire myself. Dahlia crosses her arms. What do you care? Do you want to be paid or not? Right now, I just want the truth. You're stricken to your principles. That's exactly what your instructor warned you about. Still, it feels good. Dahlia takes a step back and releases her tightly crossed arms. I already tried loads of other investigators. Anyone who seemed trustworthy, really, but no luck. That's why I'm coming to you. I don't trust her. Look at her face. Ouch. I'm gonna ask more questions. Does your daughter have any friends? She might be staying with classmates, sports clubs members, anything like that. Dahlia silently shakes her head. Very strange. You're about to ask if the girl at least had imaginary friends, but you hold back. Okay. I have no further questions. You mumble more to yourself than to her. Dahlia stretches her neck imperceptibly. No doubt she would like to take a look at your notebook. Your pen hovers over the notes you've taken. Missing daughter, dodgy lady. That's it. You've worked with less. I'm gonna accept. A missing persons case, nothing usual. A conventional little girl runs away from home after reading her first romance novel. Usually they hide at the edge of the forest or in a library. Should be pretty straightforward. Before you can say anything, she drops a photo of the child and a roll of bills on your desk. For your expenses. You nod slowly, trying not to drool down the front of your shirt. You haven't seen this much money in ages. You don't have much time to prepare. A quick search reveals that only one bus goes to Innsmouth and only once a day. A pattern emerges in your research. The few new items related to this total coastal town are all about missing persons. In addition, you find some rather old-fashioned articles that praise the coastal town as a secret holiday destination. The best fish, untouched beach promenade, authentic fishing people, and reoccurring buzzwords. Dahlia has given you the address at which you're supposed to drop off her daughter as soon as you find her. She also wrote down her phone number and one child's photo. You take another look at the picture before you pack your things. The next morning you travel by bus. I am not gonna hitchhike. Boston bus station. 22nd September, your journey begins at a busy bus station. There's supposed to be a bus line that departs from here to Innsmouth. Buses, you think of to yourself, are not only an environmentally friendly means of transportation, they're also easy on your wallet. Sadly, the departure boards aren't much help. New York, Maine, Rhode Island, no trace of Innsmouth as a destination. You wander around for a while until you notice a cleaner eating a sandwich on the side of one of the vending machines. I'm gonna talk to the cleaner. Excuse me, where can I find the bus to Inns... Without letting go of his sandwich, the cleaner points to an abandoned counter in the dingiest corner that a public bus station could be capable of. The man gives you a nod, indicating that anything that can be said has indeed been said. You find that the counter is elaborately decorated with cobwebs. It's a bit early for Halloween preparations, but at least someone's made an effort. At the moment, nobody seems to be there. You press your face against a plastic window to peer into the room behind. Hello? Hello? Is anyone there? I have to go to Innsmouth. No one there. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a bus ticket appears on the counter. Might the trip be free? I'm gonna take the ticket. Yoink! In all likelihood, the ticket was ready on the counter and you simply hadn't noticed it before. Someone must have paid and just left it there. This is what you tell yourself while you are looking for the departure gate with the ticket in your hand. Where's this bus hiding? In between the polished greyhounds and travelers stowing their luggage, saying goodbye and dropping tiredly into their seats, there's a kind of dumpster. A dumpster with windows and wheels? No, it's actually a bus. It's a bit on the rusty side, and even from a distance, you sense the strange smell it emits. Is that sulfur? You're not convinced how this thing is supposed to drive. In its vicinity, everything is noticeably quieter than at the other bus stops. The people getting on show no sign of emotion. Nobody is trying to jump the queue here. Instead, the passengers move fast, the bus driver at a uniform speed. One after the other, shuffling up the creaking steps. Each two-seater bench is occupied by individuals, as if they want to make sure not to come into contact with their fellow passengers. The sign clearly says Innsmouth. No departure times, no stopovers, just Innsmouth. Undecided, you're standing on the stairs of the bus. Talk to the driver, show your ticket. I'm gonna show my ticket. You hand the driver the ticket, no reaction. At least you can't make out a reaction. The lighting is poor and the shadow of his dusty driver's cap covers almost his entire face. You notice something strange on his neck, but you can't quite make out what it might be. You're standing in the door waiting for an okay, a nod, anything. The sulfur odor has increased, a queue has formed behind you, but no one is pushing or complaining. The people wait quietly and patiently. I'm gonna just keep walking. You shuffle sideways through the center aisle. You don't remember the bus looking this long from the outside. You're surrounded by shabby two-seater benches and some already occupied, one traveler per row. The last bench is free. Looks like the upholstery is torn in some places though. Or has it been slid open? You can see springs with sharp wire and edges. Some quickly liquid seems to have leaked onto the floor. Some sticky liquid. Why didn't you just sit down in one of the free rows? Here in the back, almost everything is occupied. Most of the passengers seem to have purposefully sat down in the aisle seats, blocking off the window seats. Maybe this is an opportunity to get a little closer to the common Innsmouth visitor. No, I'm not gonna sit with someone. You've always been a cool outsider, at least that's what you like to tell yourself. So you take the back row, which you have all for yourself. The ride won't take that long, will it? You wish you had paid a little more attention to the map. The smell of sulfur rises into your nose again. You try to sit down carefully without tearing your clothes on the wire springs of the seat cushion. Suddenly, a jolt. You can't balance and you are pressed into the seat by the most mysterious of all invisible forces, gravity. But the bus starts without any warning. Because of the abrupt start, a bunch of yellowed paper has rolled across the dirty floor right in front of your feet. You pick it up, and look at that, a newspaper. Innsmouth Illustrated, from April last year. I'm gonna read it. According to the faded sticker, the subscriber of the newspaper was a certain C.J. Young. The Innsmouth Illustrated actually offered a lot of entertaining articles. All the features and listicles give you the impressions that at the end of the trip, you'll find yourself in an adorable up-and-coming tourist metropolis. A real insider tip. I'm gonna put it away. Whoa! Okay. The moment you lower the newspaper, you're in for a shock. Multiple gassy pairs of eyes are pointed at you, staring right at you with eyes wide open. Are they lurking, observing? No sign of their previous passive sleepiness. And then suddenly, as if nothing has happened, they all turned around again simultaneously. I'm gonna stay calm. Comfy. Wonderful heaven. You lean back and spread your arms over the other headrest, while the bus with its stuttering engine leaves town. That worked out quite well, especially if you ignore the little hiccups before. Satisfied with yourself, you're surveying the ranks of the other passengers. Whoa, dandruff shampoo must be worth more pure gold in Innsmouth. And an army of balding heads stretches out before you. The sight makes you feel slightly queasy in your stomach. Maybe something in the water? Your mind starts to roam restlessly. To Dahlia, to the money you'll soon be storing under your pillow. And of course, to this free vacation in a coastal town. In your mind, you're already come up with a list of fish dishes you want to try. The bus has turned onto an empty country road now, and you see uncultivated fields rumble past you. The warm, stuffy air in the bus makes you sleepy. Just before you close your eyes, you could swear that several passengers are turning their heads surreptitiously towards you. What the? The bus leaves the country road and turns off at a wooden sign that says Innsmouth in red flaky letters. The journey continues rather bumpily along a narrow dirt road littered with numerous potholes. In the distance, some houses are already visible, seagulls circling the roofs of the uttermost edge of the city. Slowly, all passengers take their bags out from under their seats and get ready. I'm gonna look out the side window. That's odd. The bus passes by a huge... What is this? A scrapyard? Parking lot? Why would something like this be right here outside the city? You pass another wooden sign, whose half-peeled writing advertises the Innsmouth Park and Ride area. A lot of cars look like they've been sitting there for years. Sand covers some of the bonnets and windscreens. The front door of the bus opens with a squeak, and you join the monotonous line of locals stepping out of the bus as if in a daze. Almost walking in step, you all get closer to the exit. As you walk down the steps, you have to protect your eyes from the sunlight. Turns out the windows of the bus were tinted. The other passengers shuffle off. Innsmouth. Town limits. Finally, Innsmouth. You examine your surroundings while you stretch your legs, trying to unwind from the stressful journey. No artist could have adequately captured the serenity and the beauty of this place. The clear blue sky, lights of the town square, which is paved with bright limestone and surrounded by neo-colonial buildings reminiscent of 19th century New England. A fresh sea breeze, crying seagulls, and locals going about their business. In the center of the square, water trickles from a fountain. As you stretch your limbs and breathe in the clean air, you're suddenly startled by the water feature right in front of you. The fountain is an enormous fish-like brass creature. An open jaw lined with shark-like fangs spouts brackish water down its massive, inhumanly contorted body. As if that wasn't enough, there appear to be human bodies squirming underneath its massive claws. Their faces are contorted, as yours is right now. How long have you been standing here? Eyes wide open in shock, you feel utterly paralyzed. You start to scan the town square and notice more and more disturbing details. On every corner you spot ornamental statues and reliefs of fish. But they're not your classic harmless kind of fish. These are pagan symbols and grimaces of supernatural creatures from the darkest crevices of the deep sea. In surrounding houses, you can see faces pressed against the windows. All the locals appear to be watching you. You suddenly start to think that the cries of the seagulls sound particularly human-like. They sound like humans crying out in pain. What happened to the idyllic scene from a few moments ago? Nobody knows, man. Welcome to Innsmouth. I'm gonna turn around. Oh, it's an old lady. How nice of you to visit. A small elderly woman waves at you from afar. She beams at you as if you were her long-lost grandchild. She seems very different to the boars you've met so far on the bus into town. Her squealing makes you out of your nightmarish panic. It's good to have you here. I've noticed you've taken by our local fountain. It was built in 1704 by Abdul Necrotis, favorite artist and friend of Charles Dexter Tillinghast, the founder of Innsmouth. Central figure was a present, and it was supposed to commemorate their travels together to Cairo. You can clearly see the Egyptian features in Necrotis' work here and there. She points wildly in every direction. And here, but I'm sure you've already noticed this yourself. You look like someone who knows his way around art, she says with a wild smile. You're still in shock. Of course, I'm an art historian. She enthusiastically starts clapping and squealing, a small plump person in a grey costume who finishes off her sentences with a delighted chuckle. Oh, I noticed that at once. How rude of me. I have to introduce myself. My name is Muriel Pooping Place? Pooping Place? Muriel Pooping Place? Okay. I'm the director of the Pox Commission, chief tourism officer, and the head of welcoming committee. Ta-da! Behind Muriel, there's a ramshackle wooden information stand, lovingly decorated with balloons. A colorful painted sign reads, "Welcome to Innsmouth." Muriel tiptoes over information stands and picks up a whole load of flyers and leaflets from the rickety display cases. She looks down at all the papers in her arms and briefly shrieks with laughter. My goodness, why don't you take the city map to begin with? Useful. You take the map and put it into your coat pocket. Would you like to find more about our wonderful town, which has been awarded the East Coast Stunning Town Award for several years in a row? I'm actually looking for someone. Here I am. The small plump woman starts giggling. Innsmouth welcomes you warmly. So you're looking for someone. It's not that uncommon for two lonely hearts to find one another in this romantic place. I'm gonna mention the missing girl. See, I'm looking for this girl. It's always about a girl, isn't it? Tabitha Marsh, 8 years old. Her mother asked me to take on a case. You take out a photo and Muriel immediately rips it out of your hand. Oh, what a cutie, but I'm sorry to say, I've not heard anything about missing girls. How awful, this sort of thing doesn't happen in Innsmouth. Perhaps you can have a look around at the beach or the playground. There are a lot of kids down there. I'm sure that's where the little one will be. With an unnaturally wide grin, she hands you back the photo, turns around quickly and makes her way over to accost another tourist family. You head further into the town, along the cobbled road in the direction of the coast. Not long ago, the sun was bright in the sky, but already the first wafts of mist are creeping into the streets. The air feels thicker and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. Time to think about where you want to go. You slow down, you lean your briefcase against the wall and start packing up and down the quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make right now. The city center is in the north. Even from afar, you can see the outlines of the old ornately decorated buildings in the main town square. Here you should find the police station, the main shopping street, and of course the town hall. A coastal town, Innsmouth also has a harbor. From your research, you found out that this is a bustling area with a dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. According to your research, the only hotel in town, the Gilman Hotel, It's located in the old town. You think about checking in, you could do with freshening up and getting rid of that bus smell that is still clinging to your clothes. The sulfur. Just as you are about to set off, your heart leaps into your throat. You've forgotten your briefcase. This has never happened to you. You usually take good care of the little you possess. There's nothing you can do about this now. You'll have to wait until your return journey to find out whether someone has handed it in at the lost and found. Still, you could swear that the briefcase was already gone when you got off the bus. I am gonna go to the harbor. Innsmouth Harbor is signposted much better than the local hospital. You wonder if a hospital is even needed here. It's a half-hour walk. A mile-long carpet of cobblestones is now ahead of you. The traffic in Boston is more hectic, but at least they have heard of asphalt before. As you keep walking, there are fewer and fewer residential buildings along your path. In their stead, there are now warehouses that must be fish markets due to the smell. You can also hear the occasional metallic clanking from nearby workshops. People in grey raincoats are walking towards you. They're probably fishermen who have some errands to run. Now and again, in that split second when you pass one another, you catch a glimpse of the faces hidden under the hoods. Puffy eyes that look at you suspiciously. Although there were a few clouds in the sky, there's no chance of rain as far as you can tell. Why are they all wrapped up like that? You wonder if they have the sixth sense for approaching storms? The sound of the rhythmic blows of a hammer nearby tears you away from these thoughts. It would be interesting to watch the work in the shipyard, but little Tabitha is unlikely to be there to play. From a distance, you can already see the masts of the boats, which rise up into the sky like a row of spears. You walk along a small street at the quay with the harbor basin just behind it. Breathe in the sea breeze, look around. I'm gonna look around. The view of the harbor is splendid. Boats of all shapes and sizes are coming and going. Nets are being emptied out and fish seem to be endlessly splashing into huge freezer boxes. Local trays are being sealed with handshakes and the end of a wide headland. A huge lighthouse watches majestically over the bay. The ideal postcard motif if it weren't for the people. You only know fishermen from the movies, and you have to admit that you have certain prejudices. These include: they have weather-beaten skin, and the captains always have well-groomed beards. They are either strong, silent types or hard-drinking lads who sing filthy sea shanties. But these creatures in front of you are neither majestic nor leery. They move around more like tragic hunchbacks you'd expect to see in French cathedrals. A few yards to the right, there's a fork in the road, and the road sign pointing further north, its inscription reads Innsmouth Paradise Beach. In the far distance, you can see a building that looks like a church. Hang on, a church? On the coast? How eccentric. I'm gonna go to the church. The church is located on a hill overlooking the harbor. You're immediately drawn towards it. You stroll along the docks towards the cliffs. You take in the pleasant sea breeze and the hustle and bustle on the ships. Your original mission pops into your mind. This place is so relaxing. It's just too easy to forget about the little girl. Out of the corner of your eye, you can see 3 fishermen whose boats had just moored. They're not working. In fact, they're not doing anything. They're just standing there staring at you. I'm gonna speed up my pace. All of a sudden, it feels as if you've got a big target on your trench coat. It's difficult, but you manage to swallow the provocative comments that you would have liked to hurl at the fisherman and instead try to act more discreetly. After a few yards, you turn around again. They're all gone. The crew must have disappeared below deck in their little boat. What a strange bunch. Suddenly, it's utterly plausible to you that the people in this town can disappear just like that. You're a little closer to the church building now, and you're relieved to find that there are a few dozen people outside the gates. And they're not the usual creepy Innsmouth kind. The group are gesticulating and discussing something in a very animated manner. Normal people. As you reach the courtyard, you're able to assess the situation a little better. Two groups with about the same number of people are confronting one another, surrounded by a few more reserved onlookers. Two shouty people who appear to be the representatives of the two camps are facing each other. A bronze plaque is displayed above the gates to the entrance. Engraved on it, Esoteric Order of Dagon. Ignore the crowd and go into the church. Whatever their issues might be, they clearly don't concern you. The two parties are so engrossed in their discussion, they don't even take note of you. You scroll past them unnoticed. Why not? You're already here after all. Almost immediately, two grumpy-looking men, clothed like fishermen, stand in your way, preventing you from entering the church. They seem to have a competition going as to who can give you the most sinister look. I'm gonna leave. Other than religious fanatics, the Church of Dagon does not seem to have much else to offer, and there are enough of those in Boston. You walk down the sloping path from which you have come until you are back at the quar wall of the harbor. I'm going to the beach now. The beach, the screeching of seagulls, an endless white, fine gray beach, and the sound of the waves. Potentially clean water, the algae are way too dense to really tell. You walk on the sand and move a little closer to the waterline, curious about what you might discover there. Although the sea is not stormy and the tide is low, Innsmouth Beach is not really a touristy place. Everything is simply too gray. This is what you associate with a real vacation. Sea, cocktails, or television. Cocktails. The more paper umbrellas, bits of fruit, and straws, the better. You rub your hands. You can hardly wait to blissfully collapse into a hammock with a drink in your hand. You were born for that. Lost in thought, you keep wandering over the dunes. You notice how all the colors of the sea and the beach seem to be swallowed up by the straight light conditions here. You hold your hand up in front of your face. Your skin looks gray and matte, but still you feel relaxed. The murmur of the sea invigorates you. You feel a deep sense of longing within you, a serene sense of inner peace and freedom, until the techno music starts. A monotonous beat. The sound seems to come directly from the beach bar a few hundred yards off in the distance, which appears to be surrounded by about a dozen people. Given the changing weather, it's perhaps no surprise what else is one supposed to do on this beach apart from drink cheap cocktails and dancing to bad music. Something strange grabs your attention. A kind of cage standing in a shallow water, perhaps 12 feet wide and deep. I walk to the cage. Thanks to the low tide, you are able to get close to the strange object. The sea has retreated into the distance, and so the cage stands there, looking strangely lost. As you approach it, you take off your shoes and socks and turn your trouser legs up a little. Finally, you stand in front of the cage. There is a visible line on the cage about 3 feet from the ground. The metal on top half still looks quite stable. The bottom half must normally be submerged in water. Slimy black algae wind around the metal rods. What's strange to you is the position of the cage. The dunes are not that far away. On your way, you notice that this is a part of the beach that usually remains untouched by the water, so even in the high tide, it doesn't go to it. You must have only walked 50 yards. Even if the tide comes in, you think that the cage will never actually be completely submerged in water. But isn't that the point of these things? You start thinking about lobster cages, and then shark cages. That's all you find here. You linger for a bit, and then walk back to the sandy part of the beach. The cries of the seagulls are increasingly drowned out by the early 90s techno beats. One note, that's all some people need to enjoy themselves. One note in an endless loop. The owner of the beach bar has taken great pains to make up for some of Innsmouth's deficits. The bar is made from wooden planks and features a nice countertop and an exotic canopy made from palm trees. Admittedly, the palm trees are no longer green. They're gray and dried out, just as if a demon had sucked the life force out of them. But it's easy to imagine that all of this must have looked quite pretty once. The bar is flanked by wooden bar stools, and a few meters away towards the ocean, 2 rows of deck chairs have been put up so that people can get drunk while laying down. From a distance, the bar looked busy, but now as you arrive, you realize that the party is already over, if it ever did take place. A dozen people hang out here. A few surfer dudes sagging about like zombies, some of them carrying empty cocktail glasses around. Some of them yell "party" and "woo" enthusiastically. Precisely this kind of people. A guy with long hair and sunglasses nods his head in time to the techno beat and taps along on the bar counter with his flat hand. There's no bar staff in sight. One of the tourist families you had spotted on the way here has spread out on the deck chairs. They're evidently trying to keep away from the party. I'm gonna take up one of the deck chairs. It can't hurt to just rest for a moment. It means you'll be able to resume your mission full energy, or whatever. Most of the chairs are free, all offer excellent views of the sea and the increasingly cloudy horizon. You're spoiled, for choice. I'm gonna go somewhere private. Stay away from it all. You decide on the deck chair that's the furthest away from the beach bar and its visitors, yet you're not alone. It's a family you've already noticed a few times today. Happily chatting parents who are constantly eating, and their 2 chronically bad-tempered children. The 4 are hard to miss with their loud chatter and tasteless tourist outfits. They've settled down on the deck chairs, sipping on some soft drinks. Not too shabby. The dark clouds drawing together on the horizon worry you a little, but they're far away enough for you to simply enjoy this moment on the beach. Technically, you've been near the beach the whole time, but you couldn't really switch off. There was a haunting sense of danger. Feeling of paranoia that you simply couldn't shake off. Luckily, the paranoia was gone now. Cool sea breeze caresses your face as you tune out of the other tourists' annoying conversations. You listen to the murmur of the waves, the regular to and fro of the sea has a soothing effect on you. Your eyes fall shut. Great, I fell asleep. It's cold. You're freezing, which is annoying because you had settled down quite comfortably on one of the deck chairs. You could swear you'd noticed a shadow while half asleep. There was a figure who tried to grab you and carry you away. Was that all a dream? A chilly wind blows on your face. Oh, damn it, this case is going to be the death of you. You simply lie there as if dead. Your attempts to return to a more comfortable position are punished by a stabbing pain in your behind. Some bit from the chairs is digging into you. Probably a cheap model. Damn tight asses, you mutter weakly and push yourself into an upright position. The sun is now set and all other holiday makers have gone. Instead of freezing their asses off, they're probably sitting in a warm hotel by now. The moon illuminates the beach and the waves shimmer in its eerie green glow. Green. Nature is fascinating. You stretch your tense neck when you notice some lights off in the distance. Night has fallen, and with each passing minute, it seems to get chillier. The lights appear to be moving and are leading away from the town. You wonder whether you should take a closer look at the spectacle or go to your warm hotel. I'm gonna follow the lights. Why not? The day is almost over anyway, and maybe you can at least manage to figure out what the lights in the distance are all about. You trudge through the sand. Then you notice that the lights you were heading towards are moving. They do not stand still, but twitch back and forth. Hang on a moment, you're on a beach. It's night. Weird blinking lights. This is clearly a rave, a UFO sect, a sex cult. The perverts have no respect for anything. The nudist zone must be further along the beach, and now they're getting started. Somebody ought to tell them off. Like you. Your time has come. You decide to approach them. In the name of public decency, of course, not for any other reasons. For non-sex cult related reasons, you check the fit of your underwear before walking up to them. You arrived somewhat indecisively. You stand on the sand dune and take in the spectacle. There are 20, maybe 30 people who have gathered here on the beach close to the waves. You can see that they're naked under the rags and nets that they're wearing on their bodies. They're performing a sensual and seemingly uncontrolled dance while waving glow sticks in the air. The masks that people are wearing seem familiar, from film and television. Distorted faces with angry mouths and ugly goggle eyes. Reminds you a little of voodoo. But here on the coast of New England, you're not quite sure anymore whether you are at a rave party or actually an exotic fertility ritual. The acoustics are bad. Instead of the clear techno beat, the people here rely on singing. They could do with rehearsing though. Without any sense of rhythm, the people are chanting the same refrain over and over again. Ya, ya, Cthulhu, done. I'm gonna take part. The whole point of a holiday is doing crazy things you normally wouldn't, and besides, nobody here knows you. You sneak up the group of dancers and attempt to seamlessly blend into the chaotic spectacle. You're lucky. In the midst of the rags that most people are wearing here, your detective outfit doesn't particularly stand out. You're just another freak among many. You get swept up in the ecstasy of the dance. Your thighs tremble and your arms wriggle about. You throw back your head and join the loud chanting. Yeah, yeah, sully frogs, you enthusiastically imitate the chant. A few glow sticks have been dropped during the dance and lie abandoned in the sand. You bend down to pick up one of them. You realize that they're not disposable glow sticks at all. They're algae. Glowing algae? You keep dancing cheerfully. Past the bizarre marks with swollen eyes, which up close look much more threatening. A bit scary. From a distance, this horror part of you, the show would have completely escaped you. The party seems to be shifting on to the next phase. The dancers have now stopped their ecstatic movements and stand still with their outstretched arms facing the ocean. Silence. Complete silence. Apart from the monotonous murmur of the waves, then you can make out another sound. A strange hissing. Another group of amateur actors join the dancers. They come straight out of the water and wear costumes more suitable for Halloween than a rave party. Greenish scales cover their costumes. Or is it professional makeup? The scaly skin costumes look super real. Probably because they are real. The muscular, clumsy, and much too long arms end in a set of lifelike claws. The heads are a mixture of dumb-looking fish and a deadly grizzly. Whoever came up with this mask seriously needs to see a therapist. When the first masked creature reaches the group of dancers, you realize that these guys must have seriously trained for this gig. All of them have bodies you can only get through years of hard physical training and guzzling down loads of steroids. They're also stark naked. You tilt your head involuntarily. Some things on bodies are quite difficult to replicate, even with papier-mâché or a plastic mold. You know it from your own Halloween craft endeavors. It's even more difficult to make these things move and react authentically. It takes a lot of willpower to tear your eyes away from this sight. The dance group seems to welcome the newcomers warmly. They mingle. Each of the costumed giants seems to know exactly with whom they want to spend the evening. It does not take long, and every party guest is paired up with one of the fish creatures. You stand a little off the side and watch as they explore each other's bodies, and then they start to... Whoa. Okay, this party is definitely X-rated. A brave choice for a tourist entertainment program. While you are still gasping for air indignantly, the couples are already rolling in the sand, groaning with pleasure. Only one of the costumed giants has not yet found a partner. His milky eyes fall on you. Uh-oh. He stalks over to you on his long legs. With one of his claws, he points at you, and then at himself. Oh, no, thank you. Oh, well, why the hell not? You say and open your arms. What follows is private and definitely not R-rated. You're fascinated, no, thrilled with the fish mutant costume. The things you like best are... the soft but deadly cloth. In particularly passionate movements, you can feel the razor-sharp claws from the fishman costume digging into your skin. Definitely a souvenir to show off at home. That was wild. When the deed is done, you lie on the cool sand in your partner's enveloping embrace all around you. The other couples do the same. Together you look up at the green hue of the starry sky. No words are needed. The man in the fish costume only makes hissing and bleating sounds, but you have a deeper connection. This is rare. You feel at ease. Maybe for the first time in your life. Time flies much too fast. The rave party is over. Most of the dancers from Innsmouth start walking back towards the harbor on shaky legs. And so your parting is near too. You try to give him your phone number, but he plays dumb. He snarls and shuffles towards the ocean. Just when you think you have found someone with whom you can live out your animal instincts, that person decides to wordlessly disappear into the sea. Typical. You watch thoughtfully as his head disappears between the waves. You're not 100% sure if you use this day to the fullest, considering the reason you actually came here. Neither are you sure who the guy and his friends were, and why they showed up in a costume to an orgy and all. Well, some other things also remain unclear. With a sigh, you pat the sand off your clothes and make your way to the hotel. Darkness has befallen Innsmouth. Old-fashioned gas lights illuminate a few patches along the dark alleyway, but generally it doesn't look as if the town planners were too fussed with providing adequate lighting. Some streets are completely plunged into darkness. You struggle more and more to find your way around. Was this awful gargoyle already here earlier in the afternoon, or are you in the wrong part of town altogether? When you're almost about to give up your search for the Gilman Hotel and resign to finding a cozy spot somewhere on the curb, you see it. The outline of the hotel roof. Luckily, the hotel is set apart clearly from the misshapen nearby tenements. The Gilman Hotel is an architectural masterpiece. Although right now in the dark you can't make out many of its stylistic features, the hotel majestically rises, 4 stories above the rickety houses that surround it. A sea of leaves glints in the light of the moon. Must be ivy. An empty parking lot makes you think that the hotel must still have some rooms available. You felt like you've been followed for a long time. With a growing paranoia and constant glancing over your shoulder, you'll be able to forget all of this very soon. You follow the path leading up to the entrance and come to a standstill in front of a massive oak door. Your hand touches the cold metal handle. You press it down and pull, but to your surprise, the door doesn't open. I'm just gonna ring the doorbell. Surely it should be possible to wake up the concierge, the lobby boy, or the underpaid intern. Under a polished brass sign that reads Best Hotel, Competition 1928, first round competitor, you find the doorbell. You press down on the button for a second, then again for longer, and then once more for good luck. Wherever this doorbell is ringing, you can't hear it chime out here. You press the button a few more times. By now some angry person should have been here to threaten you with physical violence. Nothing. Look for another way in. You walk around the property. Metal bars in front of the window make it impossible to simply climb inside. But you had at least hoped to find a lit window which you could knock on to make yourself known to someone inside. They won't even let you give one of the night shift staff a good scare. All rooms inside the hotel seem to be in complete darkness, including the foyer. No one is working, no one is having a drink at the hotel bar. It's hard to believe such a thing is possible these days, but the hotel really seems closed. No one is allowed in or out for that matter. Do the guests know that they're locked in the building overnight? Will there be another gormless tourist in an hour or two trying to get in just like you are now? Not actually your problem, you remind yourself. You turn around, leave the hotel behind you, and walk back to the street. You wander the streets. The dark clouds spread out from the sea, like claws that ominously reach for the town, reach for you. The sun is set and the temperature is dropping fast. The air, too, gets cooler and rough wind whips through the alleys. You're lost. You have no idea how to get out of this godforsaken town. And as if that weren't bad enough, you also underestimated the September weather on the coast, and the real cold temperature is yet to come. Scattered raindrops do not bode well. You aimlessly wander the streets. The narrow alleys are a labyrinth of simple wooden fisherman huts. At least you're not completely on your own. Look at that. Even at this late hour, there are groups of people out patrolling. With torches and pitchforks And knives? And nets? I'm gonna walk towards them. As repulsive and dangerous as they might seem, with their improvised weapons, you've never been someone who judges a book by its cover, especially not when you're cold and sleepy. Before you reveal yourself to the patrol, you think again whether you should prepare yourself in some way. I'm not gonna do anything. It'll be alright. The people of Innsmouth sometimes behave a bit strangely, you admit, but that's no reason to become a paranoid oddball too. Without a disguise, but with a winning smile, you walk up to the small group of townfolk. "There, there!" screams the front man of the group, an old fisherman with a white bushy beard. He waves his torch in your direction. His friend limp towards you, their rags and rain jackets, and rags flap awkwardly against their bodies. "Yeah, Cthulhu Ftang." Consider they're a limping horde of deformed lunatics. They manage to surround you quickly. The light of the torches dancing in the rain makes the already scary faces look even more bizarre. Nervously, they lick their bulging lips while they stick out their torches, knives, and pitchforks to keep you in check. You wonder if the people of Innsmouth suffer from radiation poisoning. It would explain so much. "Hey, you there!" The leader of the mob spits at you. A wolfish grin spreads over the man's face. With his free arm, he makes a few hasty gestures, and suddenly you can feel the grip of strong hands clasping your arms. You stare into some strangely deformed, elongated pupils. "We're gonna have fun tonight." He's looking at something. Someone next to you. Before you consider what the hell is happening, something hits you against the back of your head. You lose consciousness. Freezing cold. Voices, whispering, arguing. Raindrops that roll off your forehead. A pungent smell of fish that you've almost gotten used to. Damn it. Your cheek is pressed against something cool. After the first moment of disorientation, you realize that you're lying somewhere out on the street. You open your eyes. This situation is not new to you. On several drunken nights in Boston, you've ended up near a trash can on a dodgy side street. This is perfectly normal. You groan and you raise your head and immediately regret moving. All you can feel at the back of your head is pain. You have no doubt you were knocked out. You try to touch the back of your head but fail. You seem to be tied up. Okay, this is definitely not normal. At least now you recognize where you are. It's Innsmouth Town Hall Square. At least 50 villagers have gathered around you. They've huddled together in small groups and are deep in conversation. Relaxed, they rest on their pitchforks and have thrown their fishing nets loosely over their shoulders. Now and then they grin at you. I'm gonna cry for help. You try to appeal to anyone standing around you. "Help me, bloated people of Innsmouth, please save me!" You shout to a group of stocky men and women in raincoats. Your words fall on deaf ears. Why on earth are they ignoring you? A worn-down boot suddenly appears in your field of vision. "Awake already?" A voice croaks from above. With great effort you manage to look up and see who dares interrupt your fit of self-pity. It's the leader of the group, Abraham. He looks down on you triumphantly. From where you are, you can see all the small tumors that are sprouting from his chin. "Yuck," you say involuntarily. If you've offended him, he doesn't know. He gives you a dirty grin. "I hope you enjoyed your stay in our little town today, landlubber." "Enjoyed? I love it here. I hate all of you." Meh. It's pretty difficult to shrug your shoulders while lying on the floor in shackles. That's why all your reply is meh. The old man shakes his head scornfully. "You goddamn city dwellers and your indifference." "Damn," the man whistled as if impressed. "You're a tough guy, I'll give you that. I wonder how long that will last when you're on fire." "Fire?" Before you can ask for more detailed explanation, you are grabbed by the arms. Some fishermen have silently approached you without you noticing. They jerk you up in the air and carry you over the square. After just a few yards, they slow down. The ground they're walking on seems less solid. You're standing by a stake. Two men in rags and gross bulges on their cheeks under your handcuffs and then tie your arms around the central pole. The remaining villagers have interrupted their chatter and are coming closer. What's this all about? The situation is so bizarre. Is this really a stake? Do those people really want to set you on fire in a public space? A bunch of ragged figures with deformed bodies is gathered in the town square. They have quashed noses, gills, and psoriasis that covers the whole face. You're certain that you have not yet met any of these horror figures today. Or did you? Maybe they simply looked more harmless in direct sunlight. Finally, about time. Someone shouted annoyed and drowns out all the other conversations taking place in the town square. Looks like someone finally managed to light a torch. Solemnly, the men march towards you, and in awe the other villagers make way for them. Not everyone in Innsmouth can light a fire. Two of the men remain with the other spectators, and the torchbearer continues alone until he stands before you at the stake. He turns his back on you and begins to speak to the eclectic audience. Brothers and sisters! Yes, Abraham? Several people respond, which says a lot about the Innsmouth gene pool. Quiet, he growls immediately. I mean, everyone present. Satisfied, he solemnly spreads his arms. You can now see that the hand, which he holds the torch, is a single flap of skin wrapped around the log. The hour approaches, and before you stands our tribute to Dagon. We share this sacrifice, the blessing, for we are faithful children of the... He falls silent. A dozen tourists walk out of the next alley along. The villagers look surprised and exchange baffled looks. Some look to Abraham for help. Embarrassed, Abraham drops the torch. This whole thing is really rather unpleasant. Sure, these degenerates want to set you on fire and sacrifice you to some god, but the point is that they picked you for it. Out of all the travelers in this town, they chose you. For example, the guy who's constantly shoveling white french fries in his mouth, they didn't pick him. Or the blonde hipster who has the nerve to take selfies of himself and the steak with yours truly on it, they didn't pick him either. All these tourists were carefully considered, and only you were found to be worthy enough for the stake. The tourists mingle with the people, but the atmosphere remains stiff and awkward. The villagers once again prove to be lousy hosts. The tourists soon move on to the next attraction of the Innsmouth nightlife. Abraham, the torchbearer, hems and haws for a few more minutes until all tourists have left the town square. Thanks, he mumbles sheepishly, with a side glance in your direction. That was really decent of you not to make any trouble. Never mind, you say bored. You've said goodbye to life, and the last thing you want to see in your last moments on Earth are goddamn tourists. Wretched tourists. Any last words? Abraham asks. I love pineapple on my pizza. Some villagers give you a round of applause, but the majority of the audience stands here awkwardly. Abraham just shrugs. Then he puts the burning torch to the wood. With a crackling sound, the fire consumes the first dry branches. The sight of the spreading flames brings you inner peace. Oh, fire. The naughty rebel among the four elements. The slowly approaching flames take you back to your childhood. Evenings under the stars, which you've watched on the TV. Oh, television. It doesn't take long for the whole pile of wood to be on fire. The heat is unbearable. Your skin hurts so much that you almost lose consciousness. But no such luck. Only when all your clothes are signed and blisters form on your cheeks does your circulatory system finally collapse. I died. Okay. At the stake, you burn alive. Never again cold cases. Okay, so I'm guessing there's gonna be like multiple endings? Yeah. Okay. Oh wow, look at that lady with the crown on her head. Right. So I'm curious to see what the other endings of this game would be. I'm pretty sure that you will be able to find the girl if you choose the right things. But yeah, I feel like I could have found out a lot more things, but I kind of just went with it. I liked the game. I think it was pretty cool. I think I will be playing it again to find out what actually has happened to the girl. But yeah, this was the Innsmouth Case. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you like videos like this, and leave a comment down below with which game you want to see me play next. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!